Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Political Science by Dr. Markhan. Today we are going to discuss a very important issue called Approaches to Study Political Science. Now, first question comes in front of us is that what is an approach? Simply, an approach can be defined as a way of looking at and then explaining a particular problem or a phenomenon. It covers collection and selection of evidence, followed by an investigation and analysis of a particular hypothesis for research. It follows standards relating to exclusion or inclusion of problems, questions, and data available to a particular area of study and investigation. Thus, an approach provides a framework for explanation and prediction. Now, let's see the difference between an approach and a method. An approach, as George Simpson says, consists of criteria employed in selecting the problems and data for investigation. A method is a way of organizing theories for its application to data. Some thinkers call methods as conceptual schemes. V.V. Dyke rightly says, in brief, approaches consist of criteria for selecting problems and relevant data, whereas methods are procedures for getting and utilizing data. When a scholar tries to put his efforts into a presentable form, the same approach leads to the use of a particular method. Sometimes the word methodology is also used, but it is systematic theoretical analysis of the methods used in a specific study or research, whereas an approach implies a particular way of looking at an issue or a problem. The philosophers use it in a wider sense to refer to the methods of inquiry that are generally applied to all the sciences. Approach is considered as more general and abstract in nature, but a method is more particular and concrete in nature. Thus, an approach is a cause, but a method is always considered as an effect. Approach indicates a way a teacher selects contents or subjects while deciding how to teach it, but a method means the way a teacher finally decides to teach it. Have you got it now? Finally, in political science, approach means a way a particular thinker has the understanding of political reality and then offers something in his aspiration to be a guide of the statesman and of the citizens. Now there are different types of approaches. There are two types of approaches that we find in political science. Number one is known as traditional, classical, or normative approaches. What are the characteristics of this approach? First, they are highly speculative and prescriptive in nature. Next, they are non-scientific. Thirdly, they are non-revolutionary. Fourthly, they are called normative because the advocates or supporters of these approaches are mainly concerned with how and why political events happen, but also with what ought to happen. The sole concern of classical approach was to carry out an analysis of the state and its various institutions. The second type of approach that we come across is known as modern or empirical or contemporary approach. What are the features or characteristics of this approach? First, this word empirical implies fact and experience that we all are aware. The viewpoint of the modern approach is to analysis of how and why things happen. Most of the contemporary writers or thinkers analyze the real working and the behavior of political institutions. They particularly focus on the behavior of men who run these institutions. They study the political activities undertaken by individuals or human beings. The hallmark of modern approach is to give to the study of political science the character of a science as much as possible. These thinkers or supporters of this approach are keen to take political science near to the natural sciences. For them, the subject matter of political science go beyond the study of state, government, and other political institutions. Therefore, they start studying all or any activity involving human beings linked together with power and authority. Now, friends, let's see what are different types of traditional approaches. The first traditional approach is philosophical approach. It is considered as the oldest approach to study political science. It is also known as speculative, ethical, and metaphysical approach. Main advocates of this approach are Plato, Bacon, Rousseau, Kant, Hegel, Green, John Rawls, Robert Nozick, and many others. Main features of this approach are: first, it studies formal institutions of state and government. Second, it uses the perspectives and views of various philosophers to analyze political institutions. Third, it primarily emphasizes on description and evaluation of political principles, ideals, and norms. Fourth, it studies political science with the support of history, philosophy, and law. Fifth, it does not study political phenomena in relation to the environment in which it actually works. Sixth, it concentrates on offering normative prescription, value studies, and judgments while studying political science. Now, let's find out the advantages and disadvantages of philosophical approach. Advantages. Firstly, it gives a clear normative approach to study political science. Secondly, philosophers or supporters of this approach try to find solutions of problems of their time. Right. For example, Thomas Hobbes, the English philosopher, who discovered a Leviathan who could maintain law and order during those days in England. Now, let's see the disadvantages. Number one, it drives us away from the political reality. Number two, it is speculative and abstract in nature. Number three, it makes politics an incomprehensible subject for a common man. Now, let's come down to the second traditional approach, that is historical approach. The main advocates of this approach are Sir Ivor Jennings, Robert Mackenzie, J.P. Mackintosh, and Samuel Beer. Main features of these approaches are: number one, it focuses on the study of the origin and development of political institutions from an analysis of the past events. Number two, its advocates use this knowledge to derive conclusions from current political activities. Number three, it simply studies the evolution of political institutions. Number four, it uses history as a genetic process, as a study of how man got to be what man once was and now is. Number four, what it says, it also helps us to understand the role of individual actions, motives, successes, failures, contingencies, etc. over the years. Next, it is stressed that to have a comprehensive understanding of political theory, one must have also a clear understanding of the time, place, and circumstances in which it was made. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of this approach? Advantages. The historical approach, its importance lies in studying the relevance of the origin and growth of political institutions. Secondly, to find the universal character of a political theory, its reason must be established through historical roots. Finally, history offers an eye on the evolutionary growth of political institutions. Now, let's see the disadvantages of the historical approach. Lord Bryce, a famous political thinker, says this approach is loaded with superficial resemblances. Number two, historical parallels may sometimes be illuminating, but they are also misleading in most of the cases. Number three, Sidgwick says, I do not think that historical method is one to be primarily used in attempting to find reasoned solutions to the problems of practical politics. So now we come up to the third traditional approach, that is legal approach. The main advocates of this approach are Hobbes, Grotius, Bentham, Austin, Savigny, Sir Henry Maine, A.V. Dicey, etc. Main features. First, this approach relates the study of political science with the study of legal processes. Second, it focuses on the institutions created by the state for maintaining political system. Third, its thinkers say that state maintains an effective and equitable system of law and order. Fourth, thus, they argue that subjects connected to organization, jurisdiction, and independence of judicial organizations form an integral part of political science. Next, from Cicero to Dicey, all the analytical jurists treat state as primary juridical person. For example, Hobbes made the sovereign as the highest lawmaker, and Austin's monastic theory of sovereignty rightly says that command of the sovereign is the essence of law. Now, let's consider the advantages and disadvantages of the legal approach. Advantages. Firstly, it treats state as a legal person. Secondly, it identifies the juridical aspect of the development of the political institutions. And finally, it says that without connecting to the domain of law and justice, state cannot be developed. Now, disadvantages. This approach has a very limited perspective as it considers only the legal aspect. Number two, the analytical jurists try to reduce all aspects of the political systems to a judicial end. Finally, it has ignored the extra legal aspects of the development of the state and other political institutions. Now, institutional approach or structural approach. This is another one approach. What are its main advocates? Walter Bagehot, F.A. Ogg, W.B. Munro, James Bryce, Herman Feiner, and Professor Harold Laski. What are the main features of this approach? It studies the formal structures of a political organizations like the legislature, executive, and judiciary. Second, but later, many other modern writers included numerous interest groups as a part of a political system. Third, the study of political science has covered both formal and informal institutional structures. Fourth, it emphasizes on the study of comparative political systems. Now, let's consider the advantages and disadvantages of the institutional approach. Advantages. Number one, it's directly linked to the behavioral approach. Number two, the structural functionalist thinkers have made an improvement on this approach by stressing on political parties and pressure groups as agencies of interest aggregation and interest articulation. Number three, thus, these theories devised by Easton and Ullman are directly an improvement on the institutional approach only. That means whatever Easton and Ullman has done, they have been inspired by the institutional approach. Now, disadvantages. First, it directly ignores the role of individuals that constitute an integral part of both formal and informal institutions. Number two, the meaning and descriptions of an institutional system varies with every scholar whoever had supported or advocated this approach. Number three, therefore, there is no uniformity among its advocates while defining and analyzing different formal and informal political institutions. Number five, what has happened? Albert Sommet and Joseph Tannenhaus, these two thinkers, attacked this approach as a routine description and pedestrian analysis of formal political structures and processes based on the more readily accessible official sources and records. That means, this approach has also been criticized by very many thinkers. Friends, once again, I thank you for watching my channel Political Science by Dr. Makhan. In my next video, I'm again going to bring you two different modern approaches with a clear and comprehensive analysis. My only request is that please share these videos and subscribe my channel. I also request you, all of you, that please watch my other two channels. One, Dr. Makhan Saikia's talk on foreign affairs, and number two, Dr. Makhan Saikia's talk on national affairs. Thank you for today, friends, for watching me, and please keep listening to my lectures and sharing and subscribing our channel as well. Thank you. Have a good day.